Was chairman and CEO for PepsiCo for 4 years. And before that was with Nokia as CEO for India and later emerging markets for nearly a decade. Mr. Shiv has been a CEO for nearly half his career and was one of the youngest CEOs in India. He worked in HUL for a number of years, mostly in marketing. He has worked with over 50 brands in his career and seen many business transformations. He writes and teaches regularly on innovation, leadership and followership, business models and digitization. He across leading business schools in the world. Mr. Shivakumar is an avid sports watcher, a great fan of Manchester United and Barcelona football teams, John McEnroe and Roger Federer in tennis. I loved the amount of cricket references in his book, and of course the foreword is written by none other than Sachin Tendulkar. So I really enjoyed reading the book and the references, all the cricket references that you have. You can really see the passion that you have for the game along with business. He is a believer in giving back to society. He's been on the board of governors of IIM Ahmedabad, Godrej Consumer Products, and has been president of the All India Management Association. He is currently on the board of XLRI and IIM Udaipur. He has been awarded many times in his career as Best CEO, Best Brand Builder for Leadership, for Turnaround and others. The awards most dear to him are 2 distinguished alumni awards from IIT Madras and IIM Calcutta. He is a best-selling author of The Right Choice, a book on career dilemmas. His current book, The Art of Management, is about managing yourself, managing your team, and managing business. He is a well-wisher of Jaipuria Institute of Management and has previously been chief guest at the convocation at our Lucknow campus in 2013. I would now like to hand over the session to Mr. Shiv Kumar to talk to us on this very pertinent topic of what management students should look for. I would also request students, while he is speaking, to put questions in the Q&A box, and then I can help field them to Mr. Shiv Kumar once he is done with his presentation. So with that, I hand over to you, sir.
Thank you, Srivats, and thank you, Neetu, for inviting me to do this session via the web for all the 4 campuses of the Jaipuria Institute. I did the convocation address at the Jaipuria Institute a few years ago, nearly 9 years ago, and I really enjoyed the trip, and it's my proud privilege to do this. Mitu, can I have my first slide, please? Okay. So I'm told that your series is called the Changemakers series 3.0. So the topic I've chosen today, and I'll speak for a maximum of 15 minutes, and then we can have a free-flowing question answer, is what should management students look for? This is my book, which is available on Amazon or at a bookstore nearest to you. And please go click on it and buy it if you find it interesting at the end of this session. Next slide, please. For me, the most important rule that management students must certainly think about. Next slide, please, Mitu.
1 second. Hang.
Yeah, next slide, please. Correct. Put full screen.
Hang on.
Yeah, thank you. The most important rule for success, which you as business students must recognize clearly, is that effort is more important than talent. Now go back, please. Go back. Yeah. The most important thing you must recognize that effort is more important than talent. A lot of people think I'm an MBA, I'm from a good school, Jaipuria School of Management, I have talent, that's enough. Never. Every day, every week, every month, every year, you need to put in that effort to be better than what you were yesterday. You cannot be at an effort which is less than what it takes to be a better version of yourself tomorrow than it is today. So remember, talent is not that important in today's world. Talent is a given, it's table stakes. What's extremely important is effort, and you must make that effort. Now, let me try and split for you what does this mean in real terms for each and every one of you as a student. Next slide, please. The first thing about effort is self-confidence. Okay, self-confidence is the faith you have in yourself, but when you put in the effort, that self-confidence turns to belief in yourself. So you might have a lot of self-confidence saying, I'm studying at one of the best business schools, I'm a smart student, I've got good marks from my school, college, etc. But if you don't put in the effort, you will not believe in yourself to say, hey, I can change it. For example, the best batsmen, the best bowlers, the best golfers put in a lot of effort, they put in a lot of practice. When they put in a lot of practice, then they have the belief that they can pull it off in the stadium, they can pull it off on the pitch and score many runs. So self-confidence is good. Simply stated, it's faith in yourself. But when you put effort, then that faith translates to belief in yourself. And that's when you start doing much better. So that's the first part I want to give you, which is having self-confidence is good, but putting the effort makes you believe in yourself. Next slide, please. The next thing is comfort lulls us into a false sense of security. We think we've got into the Jaipuria Institute, life is fine, I will get a job at the end of this, the job will pay so much, that's comforting. But that comfort lulls us into a false sense of security. Now, unfortunately, we want everything spelled out or defined. We want to know what the placement situation will look like. We want to know what the summer internship program will look like. We want to know what the salaries are. We want to know what the career path is. We want everything spelled out. But in today's world, it's an uncomfortable world. Nobody can spell that out for you. You have to spell it out yourself in terms of the effort you put. Okay? A question when I say repeatedly that you need to put in effort is the next slide. Next slide, please. You could well ask me, Shiv, how much effort is needed? Next slide, please. Yeah. How much effort is needed? So the question for you is the effort that you're putting only to get marks, that you want to get 60 or 70 or 80 or 90? Is the effort that you're putting in to be good at something? Maybe finance, maybe marketing, maybe HR, maybe operations? Or is the effort to get a job? If your answer is one of this, then that's not good enough as well. If your only effort in campus is to get marks, or your only effort is to be good at something, or your effort is to get a job, then that's not good enough. Your effort has to be much higher, a much bigger mountain to climb with that effort compared to these small three things that I put down here. What can that be? Next slide, please. Malcolm Gladwell said, the author of The Outliers, and I really suggest that you pick up the book. It's a wonderful book, and it's a book worth reading page to page. Malcolm Gladwell said that you need to spend 10,000 hours of practice to be good at something. The great band, the Beatles, they played, I think, something like 12,163 live performances before they landed in America. They were playing from 7 in the evening to 3 in the morning in Hamburg. So they were so good, they were so innovative. So if you practice the wrong thing, then you will not get results. Obviously, 10,000 hours of practicing the right thing. Now, one way I could translate that for you is to say you have about 700 days on campus. So you're not going to get to 10,000 hours in 700 days. That won't happen. So at best, you can give either 1 hour or 2 hours a day to something on which you want to be the very best in the country, very best in the world. So the first thing I would ask you to do as a management student is commit at least 1,000 hours as a start. So it means 1.5 hours. Suppose you say, I want to be good in digital marketing. Every day spend 1.5 hours on the net, learning about digital marketing, understanding who are the very best, understanding the mistakes, everything. Suppose you want to say, I want to be the very best at mergers and acquisitions. Then go on to the net and learn everything there is to know about mergers and acquisitions. Every day, dedicate 1.5 hours. If you do that, in the chosen topic of what you have picked, you will get the summer job of your choice. You will get the final placement of your choice. Because very few people would have put in the 1,000 hours effort in 700 days. So it's good to talk about effort, but I want to contextualize the effort to say, in the 2 years that you're on campus now, or even if you're there for 1 year left, which is 500 hours, commit 1.5 hours per day to the topic which you think you are best at, or will equip you the best to tackle the world in the future. So this is a tangible thing that you can do. Next slide. The other thing I want you to know is that your education is your future. One of the things I tell people consistently is that people who drop out of school mostly drop out of life. Don't go by the exceptions like either Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, etc. They're truly exceptions. That is not the rule. So when you come to campus, you cannot come to campus to say, I want to be an average student. You have to be on campus to say, I want to be very good at something, either a subject or some discipline or whatever. Or you can say, I want to be a very good all-rounder. I want to be a leader. You have to clearly define for yourself what this education in Jaipuria is giving you. Don't look at education just as a degree or as a subject. Think much broader. If you do that, when I was in your shoes, and I know how it is, I know what the feeling is to be in your shoes right now. I did a lot of sport. I did a lot of cultural activity. I was the institute secretary in both years in my business school, etc. I edited the campus magazine. I wanted to be an all-rounder. I just didn't want to be known only for marketing or management or leadership. Okay, that follows. So you have to define for yourself what is the education that you're going to get in the time that you're going to spend in Jaipur. Is it just pure degree or there's something beyond? And in my experience, all-rounders, people who are able to work with teams, people who are able to take part in team sport, lose, win, learn from that, etc., they tend to do much better in life. And that is something that I want you to think about. Unidimensional mug pods, just bookworms, don't tend to do well in life. Very rarely do they do that. You need another layer of collaboration, team spirit, etc., in order to do that. Next slide. So, the mistakes people make in B school, and I've seen, I'm on a few B school boards. I go to B school to talk. I've done many convocation speeches for business schools, etc. What are the common mistakes that I have seen people make? I'm putting down 4 mistakes that I've seen people make. Number 1, seeing teachers as adversaries. Biggest mistake. You think you know more than the teacher, you might, but then that's a very wrong notion to carry. Your teachers are your friends. Your teachers are able to see batch after batch and they can tell you how to slot you into that assembly line that I have been seeing. I remember when I got the Distinguished Alumnus Award from Calcutta. When I went to receive the award, my professor, Sudhas Roy, was reading out the citation. I told him, sir, this is like a Manmohan Desai movie. I studied under you and you are reading the citation. He said, yes, sir. One of the things he said was, we knew Shiv would go far. I don't think he knew how far. When I asked him about the comment after the award ceremony, he said, Shiv, we see 100 students every year. We can make out from the attitude, we can make out from the effort, we can make out from the dedication, who are the guys who will come up and who are the guys who will lag you. So use your teachers and their experience to your fullest advantage. Please do not see your teachers as adversaries. They are your friends. Okay, you need to live up to their expectations. Next is you see classmates as competition. Remember, you are writing an exam. If you study well, you'll get 80 marks. If the other person studies well, he might get 90. But the difference is in the effort. And I go back to it. If you start seeing your classmates as competition, you'll hide information. You'll not share notes. You'll not share textbooks. You'll not share any of it. That is wrong. Because your classmates can open doors for you in the next 25 years of your career. Your classmate will be working in X company, you'll be working in Y company, different industry. You might want some information from that industry. You can call your classmate up. So your classmates are your friends. Treat them like that. Get to know as many people in the batch as possible. In my batch of 97 people, I knew all the 96 people, backwards, forward. Even today, I'm in touch with maybe 20, 30 of them regularly. So see classmates as friends and not competition. Okay, marks will be marks, but marks are an outcome of effort and nothing to do with your class. If you put in the effort, you get the marks. If you don't put in the effort, there's no point in naming your class. Third, we do a lot of projects in business school. A lot of people see projects as somebody else's responsibility. So they say, 6 of us will be on the project team. These 2 people will work, the other 4 will sleep. If you do that, you're not putting in the effort. And you'll be seen as a freeloader. And remember, this image of being a freeloader will continue through your career. And everybody will say, yeah, he was my classmate, but he was a freeloader. This guy, used to freeload, he never did any serious work. So do not be an accompaniment or a burden to any project. You have to chip in your best. If there are 5 people in the project team, you need to do your 20% or more. You need to punch above your weight. Don't see project teams as, okay, put my name there, I'm okay. That attitude is wrong and it will hurt you. And finally, being unidimensional, pursuing marks. Everything is about the CGPA. Everything is about being in the top 10, top 20, etc. I think what you need to ask yourself is this business school degree and is my living on campus here at Jaipuria making me a better person? Is this making me a more holistic human being? If it was just marks, yeah, then please go back to school and just keep swatting. But business school is not just about marks. It's about personality. It's about charisma. It's about influence. It's about leadership. It's about being a very good all-rounder. Marks might guarantee you a line on your CV which says, I topped the class or whatever it is. Okay, but that's not good enough. I topped many things in my batch, but that's not good enough. The holistic nature of who you are is far more important. So my simple submission to you is be the very best all-rounder that you can. If you finish the course being a more holistic person than what you started the course with, that's fine. And that holistic person might be that you're good in studies, you're good in movies, you're good in culture, you're good in sport, you're good in speeches, you're good in inspiring, whatever it is. You joined the course as X. You should be going out of the course as maybe 1.8 times X or 2 times X or 3 times. That's what I tell you. So look at the business school course as much more of a holistic experience and get the most of it. So in summary, at the end of 30 minutes, I think effort always trumps talent. Effort trumps talent, remember that. Talent on its own, not good enough. Self-confidence is the faith you have in yourself, but when you put in the effort, that self-confidence becomes belief in yourself. Comfort of being in Jaipuria or whatever it is, comfort of having a good placement, lulls us into a false sense of security. Every time we want everything spelled out, then that's a false sense of security. Life is never like that. Life is full of twists and turns. You have to get comfortable living in an uncomfortable world. Question you have for me, how much effort is needed? Malcolm Gladwell said 10,000 hours. You have 700 days on campus if you're a first year student. You have 500 days, 350 days on campus if you're a second year student. My simple submission to you, dedicate 1.5 hours every day, whether it's in the morning, whether it's in the afternoon, whether it's in the evening, whatever it is. Choose a topic which you like the most, which you enjoy the most. Maybe mergers, maybe acquisitions, maybe advertising, maybe digital branding, whatever it is, you choose it. And spend 1.5 hours every day on the net becoming the best at it. If you do that, trust me, you'll be an outstanding student, not an ordinary student, because you've got a skill which nobody else has. Your education is your future. Do not take your studies lightly. Okay. Having studies at the core and embellishing with a lot of all-round capabilities like leadership, sport, culture, etc. is what it is. The core is always studies, but that doesn't mean that people look only for the core. People look beyond them. If you want to be successful in life, you cannot be successful in only being unidimensional, which is saying, I have very good marks. That doesn't see you through. You have to have much more as a personality in order to go through. The common mistakes people make in B school are seeing teachers as adversaries, seeing classmates as competition, not taking their project seriously, being sleeping partners in a project, being very unidimensional about marks. These are the standard mistakes people make. So that's all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you again, Mitu, as well as Srivats. It's been absolutely wonderful doing this session for you. More than happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you, sir. So we have a lot of questions in the Q&A box, but I'll start off by asking a couple of questions from myself before I take those. So the first question I want to ask you is, in the book, you start with managing yourself before you go to, managing teammates and then managing the business. So I think this is very interesting. So how do you discover what are your blind spots before they become, debilitating? You talk about managing time, emotions, ambitions, any of what these may become debilitating for any of us. So how do we, sort of manage, find out what our blind spots are, manage those better?
Yeah, the best way to check what your blind spots are, see, you have friends through school, college, you have relatives, you have cousins, all these people. All these people have watched you for a length of time. Now, let's take you have 20, 30 good classmate friends, a few relatives, etc. Pick 5 or 6 people who are really close to you, whom you trust, and ask them for feedback. Ask them, what do you think I do well? What do you think I don't do well? They might tell you, you know what, you react badly to bad news. You react badly to loss. When you lose a cricket match, when you lose a tennis match, when you lose a badminton match, you flare up. Okay, you're too emotional. Okay, you go through your mood swings. So talking to people who you trust the most to tell you the truth, ask them to tell you the truth. And once they tell you the truth, then you put a plan in place to say, this will not become a derailer. This will not trip me on my progress. Okay. And ask these very same people to say, hey, watch me in meetings, watch me in sessions and see how I'm doing. Okay. So for example, specifically in your class, if one of the students in your class were to ask somebody might tell him or her, you know what, you talk too much and you try to do too much class participation. So then this student says, now that's a derailer for me. Now let me interject in a class only when I know what I'm speaking, what I can do and contribute it. Then he can go back to the same people in the class to say, hey, have I toned down my class participation? Am I making better sense now? Am I speaking better and making better points which people are understanding? So you can only take feedback from people you trust. Okay, and ensure that those derailers don't kill you.
Sure. So I think what you're focusing on is that actively take feedback about yourself.
Absolutely. Always.
The second question before I go to, audience questions is, in an academic environment, many times you get the result of your efforts in a pretty straightforward manner. Like you study, you have exams, you get grades.
I couldn't hear. Can you repeat the question, Shiva? I couldn't hear.
In an academic
environment, you get the results, which is marks out of your effort. Yeah.
In a pretty straightforward manner. But once you go into the workplace, it may not be so straightforward. There might be market factors, team factors, and results may come after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So what is the change in attitude that a student needs to become a professional and deal with this environment where, results may not be so straightforward from effort?
Very good question. See, when you're on campus, you choose which subjects you want. You say, I want to do marketing. I don't want to do finance. When you get to work, you have no choice. You cannot do that. You cannot say, I'll pick only this project or this part of the work. I will not do the other part of the work. You can't do that. When you're on campus, you choose the friends you want. You can't get to work and say, I will work only with these 2 people. They are my friends. I won't work with the others. Doesn't work like that. When you're on campus, you have late night, parties, binge, watch, whatever it is till 1 o'clock. You can still get up at 7:38 and totter into class at 9 o'clock and, be okay. You can't do that at work. At work, you have a late night. Next morning, it will show at 9 o'clock, you'll be drowsy. Okay. In a classroom, you class participate to impress the teacher or your classmates. In a meeting, there is nothing called making an impression. You have to state facts. You have to do the right thing. People will only listen to you if you talk sense. If you talk nonsense, nobody in the class will ask you to keep quiet. But in a meeting room, if you talk nonsense, people will tell you, you're talking nonsense, please shut up. Don't open your mouth. So there's a world of difference between a classroom and work. And work tends to be much more long-term. You need to commit yourself to the work. You need to collaborate. You need to influence, and you need to actually deliver. Dedication is a very important thing at work.
Sure. I'll switch to taking some student questions. So Vanshika and Harshita have asked a similar question. What is the biggest challenge you faced towards your journey of success as a professional? So if you can narrate 1 or 2 instances why you felt you failed or there was a challenge that was insurmountable.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Harshita. Thank you for that. So the biggest challenge you'll always face, and the challenge, I've been a CEO for more than half my life, the biggest challenge you always face is whom do you trust? And what is the kind of talent you're picking to work for you? It's not easy. There's no formula for it. If I were to ask you in your classroom, Harshita, whom do you trust? How would you arrive at that answer? Very difficult, right? So it's only through experience, through trial and error, we get to trust somebody. Okay, we go through the notions, we know that the person hasn't let us down, etc. Then we figure out. So both in picking people as well as in knowing whom to trust, these are very difficult things. They're not easy. There is no rule book which gives you a formula for it.
Sure. So I think the biggest challenge is working with and trusting people in the right way. So Shreya is asking, how do you overcome the fear of being judged? Many times we don't do certain things because we feel people will judge us. So
very good question. Yeah. Don't worry about what people will say. You cannot live your life by what people will say. Okay. So is it completely true what I'm saying? Maybe the answer is no. Maybe in some parts, I will accept what you're saying. For example, if you go to a party tomorrow, Shreya, if whichever institute you're in for Jaipur, you go to a party, you want to dress well, right? You want everybody to tell you, hey, Shreya, you're looking gorgeous, you're looking nice. So other people's judgment is important to you. If you post your pictures on Instagram, you want others to say, like, follow, etc., right? Fully accept. Tomorrow you go to a marriage or anything, you want to be dressed nicely in the best finery for everybody to say, hey, Shreya is looking gorgeous. Nothing wrong in that. So in those dimensions, what other people think of you is important. But at work, there's a very fine dividing line. You should only do what is in the best interest of the company. If you do what is in the best interest of the company, sooner or later people will recognize that what you're doing is in the best interest and they will not ascribe any motive to you. It doesn't matter what they say. Let me give you a tangible example. When I used to be a senior brand manager in Unilever, I used to make the slides for my director, the managing director, Anand Bhatia. A lot of my peer group would say, you know, this bugger has become a slide maker, he's become a chamcha, whatever it is. I know how much I slogged, I know how much I learned. But over a period of time, people saw the effort I was putting on behalf of the company. I was not doing it for myself. I was doing it for the board, I was doing it for Mr. Bhatia, etc. Okay. Over a period of time, people will see the good that you're doing for the company. So whatever you do, remember, people will comment. That's natural. You cannot stop them. Okay, but you must always do what is right for the company. As long as you consistently do it, people will give you the benefit of doubt and recognize that you are on the right direction.
Thank you. Sir, Hardik is asking, many times we talk about efforts versus result. So as a professional, once you're in the corporate world, should you focus on how hard you work towards a solution, or should you be focused on, did I get the result or not? So how should you look at effort versus result?
Good question. The definition of winning matters. What is winning to you? And that's the point I made even when I was listening. You come to Jaipuria Institute, whether it is Lucknow, Indore, Noida, wherever it is, okay, or Jaipur. What's your definition of winning at the end of 2 years or 1 year? Is your definition of winning, I've got good marks? Is your definition of winning, I've landed a good job? Is your definition of winning, I've got a good salary? What is it? So, for example, in my current role, let's say, one of the teams I lead is the strategy team, and one of the teams I lead is the global textiles. In the strategy team, we do a lot of analysis and show it to Mr. Birla. Sometimes he might like the analysis, he might like the industry outlook, but he might still not invest in it. That doesn't mean that what we have done is not good. It means that Mr. Birla has said, I don't want to invest in this sector at this point of time. So our definition of winning has to be, have we presented the best picture and the correct picture with all alternatives to Mr. Birla? So you have to ask yourself, what is your definition of winning? Whatever you want to do hard, you define that. And once you define that, commit to it and just go and do it well.
So there are a couple of questions on, on falling, like what do you do? How do you pick yourself up when you lose confidence or a bad habit, or you have a good habit that breaks and then you lose the good habit? So how do you pick yourself up, I think, is a common theme that I see.
Very good question. In the next 10 years, you will face as much success as much failure. So resilience is a very important thing. So when you face failure, the first thing is to accept that you failed. It is not to brush it under the carpet. When you try to brush it under the carpet, everybody will poke you, everybody will make you realize that you failed. Don't do that. Say, I failed, that's okay. Okay, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said, or Michael Jordan said, for every shot I've scored, I've taken 3 which have been misses. Rahul Dravid has said, well, I might have 50 average, it's only in 33% of the matches that I got a score of more than 50. 66% of the matches I didn't get a score of. So you have to be very clear what your definition is. So learn from failure, number one. Number two, don't repeat the same mistake. Number three, understand what led to that failure. Was it lack of preparation? Was it overconfidence? Was it that somebody else was better? If you, two good examples I give you. If you look at Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, they keep beating each other. Okay. Whenever one guy loses, when Djokovic loses or Nadal loses, they'll say, today Federer was better, but tomorrow is another day. I'll try my best. So sometimes you will fail because the other guy is better, not because you're bad. So you have to recognize all these aspects of what is your definition of failure. And as long as you're cognizant of this, it's fine. You need to be self-aware to ensure that you're not making the same mistakes again.
Sure. So the last question I want to ask from, from my experience of reading the book, you talk about time management. And I think that's extremely important. I see that, people who are supposedly busy, prime ministers, we see a prime minister or Obama or, CEOs find time to invest in their fitness, invest in their relationships. But many times as students or as young professionals, we feel we are too busy to, do everything that's important for us, whether it's our fitness, whether it's relationships, whether it's learning. So how do you manage time in a way that you continue to grow, you be healthy, you be emotionally healthy, as well as perform your job and grow at your job as well?
Very good question, Srivat, whoever asked it again. The first thing about whatever you want to do in life, in career, I talked about effort. Effort is the sum total of effort you put in minus the distractions that hold you back. For example, I'm talking to you right now for the last half an hour. I don't have a phone. I don't have anything. I'm completely focused on you. If there was a phone and I was doing this and listening to you, I would be distracted, right? I wouldn't give my very best. So the first thing I would like to tell you is avoid as many distractions as possible. The moment you take away the distractions, you find the time to go and exercise in the morning. This morning, I ran 6 kilometers in the gym for 45 minutes. Okay. You do that. Ensure that you eat right. That's a very important thing. Ensure that you eat early in the evening so that when you get up in the morning at 6 o'clock, your stomach is growling hungry. If you eat too much, you'll tend to put on weight, which is what graduates do as soon as they finish from campus. Okay. So maintain a tight discipline with as few distractions as possible. You cannot have it all. You cannot tell me, Shiv, I'll come to office at 8:39. Okay, I'll work till 6:37. Then I'll go drinking out with my friends. I'll go see a movie. I'll sleep at 2. I'll get at 6 and come back. Clock can't take it. Your body clock cannot take it. You have to recognize that. You're not Superman. You're not Batman. You're not Superwoman. So once you recognize what your distractions are, what are you susceptible to, drop them as much as you can. Now, as I've gone through my career, I used to be a big, music buff. I don't listen to music so much. Okay, I used to play a lot of tennis, etc. I play golf sometimes or whatever it is. But as I've transited, I recognize the only thing I can do on my own with the time schedule I have, etc., is running. So I go to a treadmill in every hotel wherever I am staying and go for a run because that's completely in my control. Everything else, I need somebody else to do it. And I don't, nobody says, I'm traveling Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I can't tell people, hey, wait for Friday, let's play a tennis foursome together on the. They will not wait for you. Why should they wait for you? They'll continue to play on Tuesday and Wednesday, right? You can't impose your travel schedule on them. So you have to recognize what's important for you, absolutely, and ensure that you avoid as many distractions as possible. Once you know how to avoid distractions, you'll be fine.
So I think that's extremely important. And even in your book.
One other thing, Shiv, before I forget. Second is relationships. I'm Indian and I'm proud of it. But I must tell you one of the biggest fallacies of Indians. And there I must really appreciate Mithu. Okay, and I'll tell you the story. Indians will ping you, will message you, will call you when they need you. Okay. If they don't need you, they will not. If I need Srivats, every day I will ping him. Every day I'll try to, send him something. If I don't need Srivats, I'll drop him like a hot potato. The trick of networking, ladies and gentlemen, is to network when you don't need anything. Okay. For example, Mithu, for 1 year, 2 years, she's been following up with me, saying, Shiv, you need to do this session for Jaipuria. When can you commit your time? For 2 years through the pandemic, etc. She didn't need anything from me. I didn't need anything from her. Okay, but the fact that she was so persistent in saying, look, the students of Jaipuria deserve to listen to you. I think you're losing out. I said, okay, I will do it. Now, I didn't have anything to gain from her, or she didn't have anything to gain from me. So the trick is, through your career, whatever it is, be in touch with people. Just say, hi, how are you? When I send messages to people and say, hi, how are you? Somebody writes back saying, Shiv, do you need anything from me? And it doesn't, no, I don't need anything. I'm just saying hi, that's all. Is it a crime to say hello to you? So think of being in a network without expecting anything from the person. You cannot be in a network only expecting things. If you're only expecting things, that's not a network. That network will not work for you. And next, if you don't give time to society and people, they will not give time to you when you need it. Remember that. If you're too busy, you don't have time for others, you don't have time for society, you will not give it back. I find time to give to all the educational institutes that I work with. I am Udaipur, XLRI, with Jaipuria, etc. I rarely say no to any speech in an educational institution. I do it because that is my way of saying I want to contribute back to society. That's a plan that I have taken. So if you contribute to society, society will contribute back to your success. So don't say you're too busy. Never say that.
Thank you so much. I think your ideas about managing time, managing fitness, relying on yourself to find time for things that are important to you. And I think about managing relationships. Relationships can't be only about taking when you need it. You need to give as well. I think you've laid that out.
Be a giver, not a taker. Give liberally, you'll get a lot more.
Absolutely. So I know you are short of time today, but we've really enjoyed the last 35-40 minutes or so with you. There are a lot of questions in the chat. I recommend that the students would read your book, and they will get some of the answers that they are looking for, some of the questions that we could address through this talk.
Please do send me the feedback. Mithu, please collect the feedback and send it to me. I'm a glutton for feedback, as I mentioned. I always try to see whether what I said resonated with students. So my dear students, please send the feedback to Mithu, and please do send me the feedback. I would love to read it and give you back my thoughts. Okay?
Sure, sir. Before we end, as a practice, we want to offer you a green certificate. I request Amitabh to show that on screen. So instead of giving a bouquet to guests on campus, we offer a green certificate.
Thank you.
Which signifies the tree has been planted in your name.
Thank you.
With that, once again, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. And we really enjoyed and learned from the session that we had. Thank you very much.
All the best, guys. Do well wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.